那不生烦恼莫一心，总要管己少管人。多人不是少真理，安然清净智慧生。明心自无爱难事，见性哪有忧愁心？也不是忧愁烦，忧愁心。佛光不是不普照，忧思恨怨心搅混。你忧思恨怨呢，都把你心搅混了，佛光也照不进去了。就像那个你照 X 光镜啊，你要这个还在那乱蹦乱跳的，这个 X 光镜也照不到的。你必须要很冷静，在那儿定定的，它才照着准确。各位善知识，现在呀，世界大同的开幕，是万国一家，百万人都要继承一体，像一个人似的，互相不争，互相不贪，互相不自私，互相不自利，互相不打妄语。到这个时候，这个世界也太平了，各处的人都是和平共处了，不像今天这样子勾心斗角，你抢我夺杀人放火贩毒，到处都是这样子。那么这样子人应该厌烦这种生活了，要改变方针，改变作风，改变行为，改变思想，那么能以不争不贪不求不自私不自利不打妄语，都能这个样子，这个世界就是和平了。至于我们人为什么要做人，做人的天职是什么？做人的义务是什么？做人的责任是什么？我们要把这个问题弄清楚了它。如果不知道我们的天职是什么，不知道我们应尽的义务是什么，不知道我们应负的责任是什么，这个就是枉做这个世界的人所谓没有价值。这个人人都免不了生老病死苦，这生来了怎么样生的？俺们到底是天生的、地生的，或者是人生的，或者是自然而生的 生出来又为的是什么？俺们的责任是什么的？俺们应尽的义务是什么？俺们的天职是什么？这个事情要弄清楚了，才不辜负这个做人一场。如果我们不知道这个问题，糊涂生了，又糊涂长成了，又糊里糊涂老了，那么不久又糊里糊涂死了。这生老病死苦，人人都免不了的。俺们要弄清楚这个问题，俺们才没有白做人一次。做人的义务天职是什么？责任是什么？俺们做人就应该合群爱众，对大家都和和相处，不要有纷争，不要彼此贪而无厌，你争我夺的。不要向外持求，俺们应该得的，俺们就得到；不应该得的，俺们就不要去妄谈。各守各的岗位，各尽个人的责任，也不自私，也不自利，也不打妄语，能以这样子这世界就太平了。你不叫它太平，它也太平了。你不叫它平安，它也平安了。那么现在为什么不平安？为什么不太平？就因为人人的向外去找去，不知道回光返照，反修诸己每一天都放纵这个眼耳鼻舌身意这六根，跟着这个色声香味触法来跑，来转转，被这个色声香味触法支配的我们人颠颠倒倒就把做人的本分都忘了。所以我们各位年轻的朋友和幼小的朋友和这个经验阅历丰富的人都能以认清了自己的天职，认清了自己的义务，认清了自己的责任，那么这样子对世界是一个大转变，这叫翻天覆地把这个天地都改变这种空气，改变这虚空的空气，把这个染污的空气都变为 清洁的空气。咱们有清洁的空气，呼吸清洁的空气，这个人呢都会健康长寿的。
All of you good and wise advisors, the world now must unite. All people must come together as a single family. We must come together as if one person and mutually cease from all fighting and greed, from all seeking, selfishness, pursuit of selfish benefits, and dishonesty. When we can really do this, then the entire world will be at peace. All creatures on the planet will live in harmony. It won't be like today, where all we know is to compete, to contend, to kill each other, to rob from each other, to deal in contraband and illicit substances everywhere. That's the nature of the world this time. Since that's the case, shouldn't we detest that kind of lifestyle and change our direction, to turn around, to change our lifestyles, to change our behavior, to change our thinking? If we could do this and truly no longer fight, no longer be greedy, no longer seek, be selfish, pursue personal advantages, and tell lies, then on the spot the world would be a peaceful place. Now, why are we people to begin with? What is our, you could say, inborn duty, our innate responsibility? This is the question that we should answer. If we can answer this question, then if we can know what our destiny is, what our role here on earth, what our duty and our responsibility is as people, then you can say we have not come in vain. Our lives will not be valueless. Now, as people, we are unable to avoid 4 aspects of the human experience: birth, old age, sickness, and death. But within that, how are we born? Are we born from heaven, from the sky? Are we born from the earth? Do we come about from amid people, or just spontaneously? Beyond that, what have we come here for? What is our duty? What is our calling? If we are not clear on this one question, then you could say we've wasted our chance here as people. If we really don't know the reasons for our presence here, and we simply turn through the days confused, upside down when we're born, verging on old age, and then before long passing on to a confused death, then we've really lost our chance. So clearly, our purpose here is to understand the matter of birth, old age, sickness, and death, and the suffering involved in each of these, and then not waste our opportunity to make the most of this experience, to understand what our calling is, to leave this cycle of confusion that turns us upside down as people. So I challenge my young friends, my old friends, my colleagues who are rich in experiences.
没有的friend。
是吗？
没有的friend，都是青年。
The abbot has corrected this. There are no old friends here. We are all young. those of us who are rich in experiences, if we can recognize what our true heavenly destiny, you could say what our calling is, what our duty is, what our responsibility is, then the world would turn around. This would be an earth-shaking change. Literally in Chinese, heaven would turn and earth would invert. This would be a thorough, overwhelming change. The atmosphere of the world would be different. The pollution in the air would be purified. If people could do these things, right there, the earth would change. The heavens would change. And when we breathe clean air, then our bodies and our lives can be healthy and long-lived.
我方才所说的不争、不贪、不求、不自私、不自利、不达妄语，有的人呢，我不知道这个人呢是年轻的，是小孩子，就反对我这个说法，说是人在世界上啊，你要不争，怎么样会生存？你要不贪，怎么可以生存？不求，怎么样可以生存？不自私，在这个世界又怎么样生存？不自利，在这个世界上又怎么样生存？不达妄语，又怎么样生存？这个问题呀，我不同意你这个说法。你这个说法呀，是没有智慧的人说的。你说的很对，我就是因为没有智慧，所以要说这个没有智慧的法。你看看那出生的婴儿，他争过什么？他贪过什么？他求过什么？他自私过什么？自利什么？他怎么样达妄语？那就是天真无邪，自性本来的表现。可是人一长大了，就性相近，性和这个佛性是相近的，习相远，有这个习气毛病，有的时候就离这个道远了，争也现出来了，贪也现出来了，求也现出来了，自私也现出来了，自利也现出来了，也学会骗人了，这是习相远了。俺们人呢，要时时能保持混沌赤子之心，就像小孩子似的，时时都不会老的，时时都不会死的，所以我说健康长寿嘛，你要把这个世间的财色名食睡放下了，那个真的自然就现前了。你财色名食睡这五欲你不放下，你不把它撇离开，这离道越 这个世间的财色名食睡放下了，那个真的自然就现前了。你财色名食睡这五欲啊，你不放下，你不把它撇离开，这离道越跑越远，跑来跑去就跑老了，老了又跑死了，这是必然的道路。你要不把这6种的毛病都去了，那时时都是年轻的，时时都是那个天真无邪那个样子所谓老顽童那么你能这个样子，虽然活到800岁也就像小孩子一样这不失其赤子之心，虽然老了还要变小孩子变婴儿那种的性情和行为也不争第一，也不挂着发财你看看这个，你第一了又能有什么用？你发财了又能有什么用所谓鱼在水里游，人在世上闹不知为善德，亏心把孽造。今对称山，闭眼全都了。空手见援军，悔心把泪掉。这说这个鱼在水里也是生活着它跳上跳下的游水觉得它快然自得，觉得很喜欢的。其实被打鱼的打去，被人吃了，他还不知道呢。这人在鱼在水里游，人在世上闹，人在世上忽东忽西，忽南忽北，忽上忽下的，这么这一生一生什么时候死他也不知道你看这是不是胡闹呢？人在世上就胡闹呢，不知为善德他不知道做善做德。其实人的一生俺们是应该给他人谋福利的，不是为自己不是为自己。那么自己一个人是有限的，那么众人是无量无边的。你要能叫大家都沾到自己的福利，这就是佛光普照，这就是雨露均沾。不知为善德，不知道做善做德，亏心把孽造。他净做一些个亏心的事情一生骗人来欺负人来害人做种种的犯法的事情你看这是不是在世界胡闹呢？ 金银堆成山呐，金子银子堆得像山那么高几堆，几个大山，闭眼全都了。你两个眼睛一闭，手一伸，腿一伸的时候啊，什么都撇下了，什么都没有了。空手见阎君呐，空着两只手去见阎罗王去了，灰心把泪掉，到那儿才知道后悔，说哎呀，阎罗王啊，你原谅我，我在世界上啊不懂得做人，竟犯过错了啊，现在我知道后悔了，你不要啊惩罚我了。可是阎罗王说不行不行，照罚可也。
Now, I said a moment ago about not fighting, not being greedy, not seeking, not being selfish, not wanting personal advantages, and not telling lies. And I don't know who it was, but there was someone here when they heard that. It may have been an old person, it may have been a child, but they rejected what I said. They disagreed and opposed it. They said, well, in the world today, if you don't fight, how can you survive? In the world as it is, if you're not greedy, how can you survive? If you don't seek for things, you certainly won't survive. In the world now, if you're not selfish, you won't survive. If you don't go after your own benefits, you certainly won't last. And if you don't tell lies, how can you possibly survive? Well, I have to say I disagree with your idea. I think it's most unwise. And how can you maintain, how can you survive on a principle that has no wisdom? For instance, here's an example. A baby who has just come forth from the womb, a brand new infant, does not contend for anything. A baby fresh from the womb is not greedy, seeks for nothing, can't be called selfish or calculating for personal advantages. And how can a young child tell lies? Young children, when they are still innocent and fresh, are natural and childlike. They are not deviant, they are true and pure. So it says, by nature we are the same, but with habits diverge. There's an old text that says that. People are good at their birth, their nature's the same, but with habits diverge. Once we grow, we leave the Tao, we leave the spiritual way behind. And as we mature, we learn how to fight, how to be greedy, how to seek, how to be selfish, how to want advantages, and how to tell lies. If right in the midst of this process we can turn around and safeguard our primal, innocent, true nature and be childlike, then we will never get old and we will never die. So that was the source of my comment, my wish that all of us can stay healthy and old age, so we can enjoy longevity. If we can further put down the 5 desires of wealth and sex and fame and food and sleep, then we will always be close to the Tao, to the spiritual path. But if we cannot see through those 5, then the further we pursue them, the more we pursue them, the further away we will go from where we want to be. We will run from innocence of childhood to an old age, and run from old age on down to death. It's a very natural process that way. But if we can settle those 5 problems of wealth and sex, fame, food and sleep, then we will always be young. We will always preserve our innocent, true, childlike nature. If we want to live to be 800 years old, we will still, at that age, be as fresh as when we first came into this world. We will not lose our innocent, pure, heavenly, true nature. If we want to learn from the innocence of childhood, then observe their state and their actions. They certainly don't fight to be number one. Young children don't seek to acquire wealth and to get rich. They don't want to be number one. What's the use of pursuing this number one status, the best? And suppose we had a great deal of money. Ultimately, what use is it? When we look at it from this context, the verse goes, fish jump in the water and people mill around in the marketplace. We don't know to do deeds of virtue. All we know is to shame ourselves with evil karma. We might pile up gold and silver as tall as a mountain, but when we close our eyes, it's all gone to the last penny. And with a heavy heart, we go off and see King Yama, the Lord of the underworld, and with regrets, the tears fall and wet the earth. It says that fish swim in the water and people mill about in the marketplace. Look at fish. They're very much at ease in the water. They just flip their tail and they can swim about without any boundaries until the fisherman comes and nets them or hooks them onto the boat and they become someone's dinner. Then they know that they were not so free. And people mill about in the marketplace. Now we run off to the east. Now we run back to the west. Now we go off to the south. Now we turn back and come north again. We go up, we go down, and our lives pass in the midst of this running about. And when we die, we don't even know where we've been. So this is truly not a joke. People don't know to do deeds of wholesome virtue. For instance, if we can give all of the benefits of our labor to others, then we really understand what life is about. One person's strength and their realm has a limit, but the strength and the realm of the assembly, the group, is truly limitless. If you can cause other people to gain the benefits of your work, then this is what is known as the light of the Buddha shining everywhere. This is truly limitless merit and virtue, if that which you do brings benefits to everyone. So the verse goes on and finishes, with a heavy heart we go off and see King Yama. If all we do, one line ahead of myself here, it's we shame ourselves and go off and do evil instead of doing the wholesome virtue. If all we know, if our lives are marked by cheating other people, harming other people, bullying other people, and oppressing them and breaking the law, then we don't understand what it means to be a person. The next line says, we might pile up gold and silver as tall as a mountain, but when we close our eyes, it's all over. When, no matter how rich we are, when it comes time to lay down and stick out our legs and die, it's all gone. With empty hands and a heavy heart, we go off and see King Yama. King Yama is the Lord of the underworld in purgatory. And then we will know to regret. We'll say, oh, forgive me, King Yama. I didn't know I was doing wrong. I really didn't understand how to be a person. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. And he'll say, go off. Take your punishment.
绕人欲了之，三世一切佛，因观法界性，一切唯心造。我们人生 人人都知道，我们有个心，这心呢为一身之主，它有选择的智慧，有分别的智慧，有判断的智慧有种种的智慧，可是我们人都不用，我们人用的是什么呢？是愚痴，是无明净做一些个投机取巧做什么事情不择手段来满足自己的私欲，这都叫颠倒，这都叫愚痴，这个心为形役了，心呢变成奴隶了，这个身体变成主人了。本来这个身是个奴隶受这个心的支配的，可是我们人呢不用这个真心来主宰一切的事情竟用这个人心不是用道心自己吃亏也不愿意，就要占小便宜，得到利益。你想利益旁人，他不愿意，愿意利益自己。一生计谋巧算，诡计多端，种种的这个见不得人这个手段呢，用的不知多少，光明磊落的事情做得很有限的。这样一生这是苦中的苦以为追求是快乐，其实这心里总是在那儿作战总是这个天理和人欲在那儿作战这样子你说糊涂来糊涂睡，吃的糊涂饭，穿的糊涂衣服，又睡的糊涂觉一下子睡不醒就不知又到什么地方去了就这么糊糊涂涂的一辈子，糊糊涂涂这一世，糊糊涂涂这过一生，这真是很可怜的。俺们人呢，小佛为的什么呢？就要明白，就不要把这些糊涂问题都弄明白了弄明白了他就不再糊涂了。所以 学佛就是要学明白，要学有智慧，不要再愚痴下去了。再要愚痴下去，今生我们愚痴，来生更愚痴，再来生更愚痴，愚痴的不知道什么时候。你要把这个问题弄明白了以后永远也不糊涂了永远都是如如不动，了了长明你说这样子才算一个有智慧的人。
People want to know, all Buddhas of the 3 periods of time, they should contemplate the nature of the Dharma realm and know that everything is made from the mind alone. We have this mind in our human life, and it is the boss, it is in charge of our lifetime. And this mind contains selective wisdom, the wisdom that can make choices. The mind contains wisdom that can make discriminations. It contains the wisdom that can make decisions, all different kinds of wisdom. And yet, who of us uses this wisdom? What do we use instead? For the most part, we people use our stupidity. We use our ignorance to deal with things. We are opportunistic. We are slippery. We are chance takers. And at any cost, at all costs, we will satisfy our selfish desires. That's the way we people are. Now, to fail to use wisdom and instead to seek to gratify our selfish desires is upside down. And this is what I mean by stupid. Because we people do this, our minds become our bodies' slaves. Now, originally, if we saw things right, then our body would be the servant to our mind. But for most of us, we are controlled by our physical appetites, and our mind becomes the slave to our body. Very few of us use our true minds to take charge and to control the events of our lives. Instead, we use our common, mortal, human mind. This is not the mind of the Tao, the mind of the way, the spiritual path. We are unwilling to take a loss in the short run. All we want to do is to get quick benefits. If something will bring us a short loss, but will help others in the long run, we don't do that. Instead, we simply learn a lot of tricks, a lot of techniques to get ahead and to come out number one. The things that are noble, the things that are upright and bright, illuminating things are limited. We don't do many of those things. And in this way, our lives become suffering over suffering, suffering within suffering. The world tells us that seeking is a happy thing, is the ultimate happiness. But what it does, instead of bringing us happiness when we simply pursue things, is to put ourselves at war with ourselves in our own minds. What fights? The principles of nature and our own selfish desires go to war with each other, and we spend our lives on that battlefield. We come in confusion to this world. We sleep confusedly. We eat in confusion. We dress in confusion. And this confusion is something that we find very difficult to wake up from. Before we know it, our lives have passed in confusion. And life after life goes on this way. It's truly a pathetic state that we put ourselves in. So why would we, in the midst of this, want to come and learn from the Buddha? Why would we want to learn about Buddhism? Simply to understand this confusion, to wake up from this confusion. And then, once we truly understand the things of life, then we won't be confused anymore. The purpose of learning about Buddhism is to understand and to bring this wisdom to life, to use this wisdom. If we fail to do so in this lifetime, then we will simply, in our confusion, go on to more stupidity in the next life, and then life after life, more and more stupid and ignorant and unaware. When will the process stop by itself? But, this being the case, if we can understand the problems of human life and really clarify, the word in Chinese is to make bright and clear, understand, 明白, this situation, then we will never again be confused. At all times, no matter the situation, we will be, as it said, thus, unmoving, understanding, and perfectly aware. This is true wisdom. 现在9点半出。
讲到几点？可不可以现在问问题，看看他们的智慧。
If people have any questions they'd like to ask, this is an opportunity. This is a test of everyone's wisdom. Could we ask everybody to say their name so we know who everyone is and then ask the questions?
I'm Barbara Valetich. I would like to ask the Venerable Master, what does he mean by confusion?
你要问不要有智慧的问题，要愚痴一点。我因为就是愚痴人呢，问有智慧的问题我不会答复。
I should really put a qualifier on that. I hope your questions are not wise questions. Your questions, please dumb them up a little bit, because I myself have no wisdom to use, and I won't be able to answer if your questions are too bright. So please dull them a bit. 师父这位姓 Barbara， 他说那么颠倒应该怎么讲？师父，颠倒糊涂这两个字应该怎么解释呢？
不颠倒不糊涂就够了嘛，这是我愚痴的答复。
I'll give you a stupid answer. Simply stopping being upside down and confused is the meaning of these. Just don't do that. Don't be upside down and confused. There's a dumb answer.
也没人叫你糊涂，你为什么不糊涂要问旁人？
师父，听不懂。
也没有人叫你糊涂，你为什么想要不糊涂要问人家问旁人？
Nobody told us to be upside down and confused. We did it by ourselves.
你不是托图有，你叫你去使令你，没有人使令你糊涂。
Nobody made you stupid. Nobody caused you to be stupid. So.
没有人叫